Well, there was very little in it, so we should be in for an excellent race.
Alrighty then. I qualified in the top 8 for the second race. And Audi once again on pole position, this time with James Bintcliffe, and Menu starts in second. So, and Derek Warwick, well, he's just staying where he always is, which is 12th. Anyways, back over to you, Tiff. Back over to you, Tiff.
Here we go again then, with the second race of the day.
And we are off and racing in race 2 for Silverstone. And now I just have to hope I do not get caught up in the pack, because if I do, then this I am pretty sure could end up being what I would call a mess. I'm also hopeful in saying my laptop does not complain to me whilst I am doing this. But anyways, so only fell back one position on the start, but again, I am pretty sure I can fight my way through the field, as of which I do still have some expectations to meet, but as a result of me getting that win under my belt, I'm now under a lot less pressure than I would have been had I not won this race, and I'm going to assume that must have been payback from one of the Hondas, because, well, come on, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? Am I literally public enemy number 1 here? And this has been an abhorrent first lap, if I do say so myself, because I was running in 9th, and then suddenly, as I was trying to make my way through the field and avoid making contact, someone just had to spin me out. That's totally fucked up right there, the way I see it. Well, at least I can say I've got those 3 wins under my belt, meaning it's not putting me quite as much, under quite as much in terms of substantial pressure, the way I see it. So, at least I can say I'm not under as much substantial pressure as I would be. And Derek is not having a very fun time at the moment, because he's now fallen back to 13th. And I am now closing in on one of the Peugeots, it looks like. And looks as though I'm also closing in on the second Volvo, this time of Kelvin Burt. And something tells me this is not going to go down very well. But I think in time I will eventually squeeze back up into the points. And I really don't know where Derek is, but I'm going to assume he's somewhere behind me. And I really need to try and clear the second Volvo so I can start my march up through the field, because if I keep getting held up here, then I'm just going to remain here for the rest of the race. And I have no idea how I did not spin this car, but somehow I can do that. Although, at the very least, I know the points are just up ahead of me, and I'm going to assume it's Tim Harvey who's in the leading Peugeot, because, well, Patrick Watts, he's always running at the rear of the field, or so it looks like, and I'm now back up into the points once again, but I still need to finish in 6th position or better in order to progress I'm pretty sure Menu will probably not lose this race the way I see it. I mean, I know I already have 3 wins under my belts up to this point, but I'm pretty sure my luck will not last much longer, as I'm now trying to overtake the second of the 2 Nissans, it looks like, unless Anthony Reid is running further back in the points, and a little bit of contact there with the Honda of what looks like Gabriele Tarquini, and he just gave me a shove to show his displeasure, and it almost makes me wonder if what they are trying to do is literally take me out of the race with them, more or less, is what my suspicion is. And now closing in on the second of the 2 Audis, it looks like. I'm going to assume this is Bintcliffe because, well, Biela did qualify ahead of Bintcliffe in the first race here at Silverstone, and I'm now up into 7th position. I don't think I will catch up to Menu before the day is done, but as long as I can at least get into the top 5 before this race is done, then maybe if it's possible, things will go a bit more smoothly. Of course, I am still going to have to fight for wins whilst I'm here, because I do not guarantee I will be in it to win it every week. As much as I'd really like to say I am, I'm afraid to say I probably won't be. But anyways, a new best lap time now of a 1 minute 26.84. Now closing in on the leading Nissan, and I just hit the wall. And things are not going very well at the moment. So, chances of me winning this race, I would say they've probably gone out the window by now. But I still think I can score a top 5 before this is all said and done. Although, the real sad part about all of this is I cannot save the game once I've done one of these races. I have to do both of the races and meet the expectations in order to officially save the game. So this, like I have been saying before, is where my winning streak is going to snap, but again, I'm not necessarily going for the win because I already have a win under my belt. I'm just trying to see if I can manage to achieve scoring a top 5 at the bare minimum, which is what my realistic target is. And all things considered, my laptop is actually capturing this footage pretty well for the moment, in spite of the slow video input I'm getting from here. Anyways, and now closing in on the leading Nissan. Of course, I should have studied the names of the other drivers, but I do at least know most of them. Oh yeah, it's David Leslie. Yeah, that's who's in the leading Nissan, and pulling off a dive bomb that only, well, almost managed to work on the Honda Accord of what I think is James Thompson, and just going to clear him, as of which it was this very corner where he crashed out in the previous race, so I do not want to see history repeating itself under those regards. And I'm now inside the top 5. So I am now pretty much in it to win it. And I have no idea what just happened to him. I mean, he was right on my bumper, and then suddenly, just like that, he just immediately faded away from me for some reason. For a reason totally unbeknownst to me. As far as my opinions go. But anyways, I am now closing in on the leaders, and also closing in on the lead Volvo of what appears to be Ricard Rydell, because I'm pretty sure I did overtake Leslie Burt somewhere further back. And now I'm up into 4th position, so I am now up into the top 5, and now overlapping the 2 Ford Mondeos, and trying to see if I can clear them. Had to make a little bit of contact there with Hoy as a result, but again, really did not want to lose control of the Vauxhall, and he is not happy with me. It's almost as if he was attempting to... It's almost as if he was attempting to spin me out or something. Well, at least I can say emotions exist. Which does answer the question of why I keep getting hit from behind. But anyways, aside from that, I am up into 4th position, so it is a top 5 position I'm now running in. Fortunately, I did, of course, score victory in the first race, so I could alleviate some of the pressure I might have had. And up into 4th position is where I now currently stand, and at the moment don't really appear to be having too much trouble at the moment. I do have a 6-second interval I need to close down to the leading Audi of, I'm going to assume, Frank Bieler, because he is technically the leading Audi driver, and the 2 Renaults I would think are somewhere just up ahead of me, and that's all. Probably the first of many crashes I've already had in this race. But somehow my rear end has not been damaged in all of that. My rear end is still pretty much in optimal condition, and I am now closing in on the leaders. I'm going to assume it's not one of the Renaults I'm closing in, although they're probably not too far ahead of me, but anyways, 8 laps into the race, I've really had some trouble to get up to this point, and I just ran into the back of the Audi as he was overlapping the Vauxhall. Well, overlapping my teammate, because, well, obviously I am the leading Vauxhall driver and Derek is technically the back marker. Hopefully he will give me some fighting room, unlike previously. So I now have a 9.6 second gap to close up to Plato. Because, as I said before, I do think Menu is not going to lose this race, but again, it's all about damage limitation from this point, and really doesn't matter if I win or lose as long as I can meet those minimum points targets. A win is always important to try and alleviate the pressure, but aside from that, there's not really much else I can say at the moment. At least not in terms of me being under any substantial pressure that I could be under had I not won the first race. So in some cases one could argue I was lucky. And having to shift down to first there so I could counter-attack the spin. And I am going to assume the two Renaults are not too far up ahead of me. And I don't know who that is up ahead of me, but I'm going to assume it's a back marker. Although it could very well be Plato because, well, with the storm here today, it's almost impossible to see the car in front of me from afar. As I am now only 5 seconds behind the second of the two Renaults. I think Menu up to this point is not catchable, but Plato I would think is a catchable opponent because I am closing in on him now. He is only 3.6 seconds ahead of me, so I've already made up less than 6 seconds on the leading Renault here, who is now overlapping the Peugeot, who is giving me some room to work with, but not a lot of room, I am afraid. And heading through now into the final corner. So heading through Brooklands now, and my laptop is doing weird shit I don't want it doing, but it's still doing it anyway. And the Peugeot giving me the bumper, and I've now achieved a new best lap time. And I am only 1.8 seconds behind the second of the two Renaults. Of course, Menu, I would think up to this point, has probably gone on an absolute tear the way I see it, because of how far ahead he has been of the rest of us. And now we are closing in on lapped traffic, and it's one of the Peugeots with one of the Fords, and still haven't managed to overlap Jason, as I'm now trying to see if I can clear Anthony Reid, who is right in front of me in the second of the two Audis, and I just spun him out. I did have to make sure I stepped on the brakes so I was not involved in the incident. I can assure you it's another one of those racing deals, nothing intentional, it just happens that way. I don't mean to do it to my opponents, it just happens that way. To quoting Terry Labonte when he was leading at the Bristol Motor Speedway one year, and then Dale Earnhardt inadvertently wrecked him on the final lap. Yeah, it was the Bristol night race in '99 that happened. To those of you viewers who might also be NASCAR fans, I have also mentioned a few times that I am a NASCAR fan, except for saying I usually watch a lot of the old racing because, well, to be completely honest, stage racing doesn't work that well, in my opinion. And nor do the playoffs. But anyways, yeah, I don't think I'm closing up to menu because I have a 17-second gap to bridge. And well, I don't think I'm going to do that in 7 laps without spinning. Because something tells me that is what could very well happen. And menu just seems to be pulling away now, so I am up to 2nd at least. It's all about damage limitation. I am hopeful in saying this does at least reduce the damage as much as I can do. I'm basically going to try and be like Colin Turkington, you know, basically win 1 or 2 races here and there, but also try and see if I can be consistent. As I'm now overlapping one of the Volvos once again and braking early so I do not rear end him. And now heading under the bridge once again through this sharp right-hander, and now heading into Vale at about 120 miles an hour and starting to close in, but I don't think it's going to be enough to catch up to menu, because there will be certain races where menu is clearly better than me, and also races where I am clearly better than menu. And coming across the line now, I set a new best lap time by 1/4 of a second, or a personal best lap time. This time my best lap is a 1:26.3, and pretty bumpy track surface the way I see it, but at least I can say I am still in contention. I don't think menu is too far ahead of me now, only 10.7 seconds now, so I am starting to bridge that gap just a little bit. And the reason I say a little bit is because I could probably spin out at any moment. So, as much as I do want to go for the win, I also have to make sure that I am being wise about this. Yeah, something tells me it's going to be very close by the time we get to the closing stages of this race. And if I do manage to beat menu in this, that will basically give me 4 straight wins in a row. And my laptop is doing weird shit again I don't want it doing. Although then again, the video files I have, they don't always seem to glitch out as much as they might appear to be, but again, I pretty much knew something like this was going to happen, there was no denying it. I'm now only 4.1 seconds behind menu, so there is a chance I could win this race. Okay, I'm definitely in contention for the win now, because I just saw him right up ahead of me. He was blocked by those back markers. Something tells me I'm definitely in contention for the win the way I see it. So, a win in my opinion, I would say it's doable. As of which we do still have 4 laps to go after this one. And it looks as though one of the Nissans is now trying to overlap the Vauxhall I do believe that is my teammate Derek, who is just up ahead of me. I should also mention the driver I'm technically replacing in this seat is the BTCC legend John Cleland. And looks as though things were getting just a little bit dicey there, but officially I know very well this Nissan is just holding me up, so I do need to clear him. And menu has now increased to a 6-second interval because the back markers were being very unhelpful. And now trying to see if I can overlap the Audi. I do so successfully, and I'm now up into the 5-second window, so it is going to be close, but oh, for fuck's sake. Have I literally become public enemy number 1 or something? Because that's literally what I just think is just always fucking happening for one reason or another. Because they're just basically saying to me, oh, okay, yep, I've definitely got no chance of catching him now. Yeah, okay, now I'm out of it. I'm definitely out of contention now because of those assholes. Because those assholes just basically took me out like a bunch of dicks. And as a result, I've now fallen back to 3rd. So, I was in contention for a win, but then suddenly, just like that, the fucking back markers had to be very unhelpful and basically just do their derogatory tactics of just literally trying to eliminate me and make me suffer. Okay, so 16-second gap now to menu. So I think it's fair to say I'm definitely not winning this race now because of the lapped traffic. Menu, it looks, is going to score victory, but again, I am still running in 2nd regardless of everything that's happened to me during this race. And Menu is clearly pulling away now, so I've got no chance of catching him. But I may be able to clear this Audi before everything is all said and done. Basically trying to see if I can pull off the Colin Turkington-like tactics of basically, you know, just winning races every so often, but also being consistent and running at the end of the race without having too many problems. That's pretty much what my idealism is. So, still running 2nd at the moment, not really in contention for the win anymore, but as long as I'm able to hold on to 2nd, then I don't have any problems. Menu will win race 2 at Silverstone unless he makes a major mistake, and I doubt that's going to happen because I think he has cleared the lapped traffic by now. So something tells me that's not going to be the case. Anyways, final lap, and a 17-second gap now to Menu, so it is fair to say he is pretty much ran away with this race. But then again, second is still good, as long as I can still manage to keep scoring wins around most of these venues and just remaining consistent. Because consistency is what wins you championships. I'm honestly surprised to say how the race officials have not penalised me yet for the number of issues I was involved in. Sorry, for the number of incidents I was involved in. I'm very surprised to say, well, gap is closing, but yeah. I'm very surprised to say the race officials have not penalised me yet for my antics. Although there probably are going to be some other driver penalties before this is all over, but anyways. Silverstone is now done, and I shall hand it over to Tiffany Dell.
A comfortable victory in the end then for Menu, who drove a superb race. Here's a rundown of the final placings.
Okay, so 15 seconds, the gap at the end of the race. I managed to slot between the two Renaults. Bilo was fourth in the first of the two Audis. Then we had Thompson ahead of Rydell. Tarquini finishes 7th ahead of Bintcliffe, rounding out the top 8. Leslie 9th. Burt finishes 10th ahead of Reed. Then we had Harvey in 12th. Warwick finishing 13th ahead of Hoy, Watts and Paul Radicic finishing last.
After a great day's racing here, let's have a look at the current championship standings. Anything could still happen, but look who's in the lead.
Thank you, Tiff. That's very comforting to know I am still the leader. So it's a 5-point margin now to Menu, who has definitely closed in, but at the very least I can say I have managed to give myself a reasonable gap fairly early on, so 2 venues down and we still have another 9 to go, and along with that 20 races where anything, as Tiff said, can still happen.